Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today I wanted to do this topic, a little bit of a follow-up to, 3 ways to handle our emotions. This one's going to be 3 ways, 1, 2, 3, 3 ways to respond to thinking. Okay? So I'll get to that in a minute. So I'm going to encourage you to relax your body, as we always do. Allow your breathing to just become a little bit slower and fuller. All right. So, thinking. It's a normal part of being a human being. Some people are like, I can't quiet my mind. I'm thinking all day long. I've got these thoughts running through my head all day long. Got this voice inside my head all day long. Yeah, it's called thinking. It's perfectly normal. Sometimes the quality of our thoughts can be somewhat questionable, right? Sometimes the quality of the thoughts make us feel good, happy, content, productive, meaningful, connection with others. The thoughts feel good, right? Other times the thoughts are perceived to be negative thoughts. And there's not really positive or negative thoughts, but sometimes the thoughts can create some emotions behind them. Joy, connection, happiness, or sadness, despair, misery, right? So we've labeled these thoughts as positive thoughts or negative thoughts. And once you label something as a negative thought, it's like, how do I get rid of those? Because those negative thoughts are making me miserable. They're keeping me in this fear. They're keeping me perceiving danger emotionally, mentally, and physically with our symptoms, right? So I got to get rid of these negative thoughts. Got to get rid of these negative thoughts. And you've probably, heard some people, friends, family members, parents, kids, why are you so negative? Stop thinking negative. Why can't you just be positive? Stop thinking negative. What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? Stop thinking negative. And so it's a very common thing in this society that we judge people harshly for having these negative thoughts. And then we learn that those negative thoughts are a bad thing, so we judge ourselves harshly. And then we kind of get scared of our own thinking because I'm not supposed to have these negative thoughts. The power of positive thinking, right? And that's been something that's been very popular in the self-help world. Think positive, think positive, think positive. And so all of the things that I teach are not about positive thinking. I like the term accurate thinking. What's really going on and what's really beneficial. Because if you just walk around with a false, fake sense of positivity, your brain's not going to buy it. And you've probably met some people that nothing is ever wrong. They're always so positive and happy. And sometimes those people piss you off because you're like, nobody can be that upbeat all the time. And it's a very rare case that they're truly that joyful. So anyway, enough about the positive thinking. How do we respond to our own thinking? First, it starts with the belief that these negative thoughts are to be stopped. And the first choice that people assume is, I have to stop these negative thoughts. Well, that's like saying, all right, for the next 5 minutes, stop thinking about a red car. Take control of your brain and stop thinking about a red car. And all of a sudden in your head, what do you get? Red car, red car, red car, red car. Because I have to stop thinking about it. So how do you stop thinking about it while you're trying to stop it? It just doesn't work. I did a video a few months back. Don't click on that thought. And the analogy there was, I forget the guy's name. I gave credit for the guy who talked about it on YouTube. In the original video I did, don't click on that thought. I gave credit. Some guy who speaks on anxiety all the time. But the concept is, don't click on a thought. It's like social media. You ever click on an advertisement on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and then what happens? Next time you go back, and then the following time, what do you get? You get more and more and more of those same type of advertisements. Click on a vacuum cleaner ad. What do you get? Next thing you know, you've got a million vacuum cleaner ads showing up on your social media because by clicking on it, you have expressed interest. So, translate that to thoughts. If you say, stop thinking about a red car, you've just clicked on the red car. And what happens? The brain is a lot like social media. It says, oh, you've shown interest in this topic, so let me give you more of it. More of it, more of it, more of it. Stop thinking about these negative thoughts. Stop the negative thoughts. It's impossible. Don't even try. Because by trying to get rid of the negative thoughts, you actually end up with more of them. All right? So let's take stop thinking negatively off the table. It's not possible. And these negative or these thoughts that we perceive are negative are simply the brain doing a job. The brain's job is safety and survival, period. So what are negative thoughts, or what are these thoughts that we perceive as negative? They're just coming from a brain perceiving danger. See how the root cause of all these symptoms is perceived danger, and it's even the cause of anxiety. It's even the cause of what we label as negative thinking. A brain perceiving danger is always sounding a warning signal, whether it be with our fearful thoughts, whether it be with symptoms, whether it be with a general feeling of anxiety. It's just the brain doing its job to protect us from what it perceives are dangerous things. Solution, always safety, right? So how do you teach your brain that your thoughts are safe? Well, all right, let's say you can't stop negative thinking. Let's say you can't stop these thoughts. As I said earlier, it's impossible, and the more you try, the more you actually get. Let's take that off the table as a viable option. Next thing people will say is, well, I'm going to replace my thoughts. I'm going to fix my thinking. And the problem with that is, if you see a thought come along and you go, oh, that's one of those thoughts I got to fix because that thought doesn't make me feel good. Now we start to believe, I have a thinking problem, and I need to fix that thinking problem. Well, how do we do that? Well, I'm going to fix my thinking problem with more thinking about my thinking because I've got a thinking problem, and I think I need to fix this thinking problem with more thinking about my thinking. And you see how quickly you can get caught up in that cycle of trying to fix something. And what are you doing while you're trying to fix your negative thinking with more thinking about your thinking problem? You're actually thinking about the thought which you feel needs fixing. Well, I'm going to replace all my negative thoughts with positive ones. Well, if you feel like you can or need to do that, I will tell you this. You're going to be exhausted by 7 in the morning trying to fix your thinking. Right? All you're doing is now grabbing that negative thought and saying, how do I fix this? How do I fix it? How do I fix it? It's almost as bad as trying to stop it. It just doesn't work. We have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Now, I don't know who calculated that, or but it's a number that's been thrown around by scientists and doctors that we have that many thoughts. So if you think you're going to be able to catch, reframe, fix all of your negative thoughts, look, out of 60 to 70,000 thoughts, how many of them are actually categorized in what we perceive to be negative thoughts? Probably a big percentage of them. If you've had a chaotic life, an anxious-filled life, lots of trauma, and you've got a highly vigilant brain that's always perceiving danger, and you've got a whole host of symptoms, medical conditions, whether it be pain or other symptoms, a big majority of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day are what we would classify as negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, worrisome, catastrophic thinking. So if you think you're going to be able to actually catch all those negative thoughts, reframe them, make them positive, and turn them loose to the universe, you're going to be exhausted. So we can't stop the negative thoughts, and frankly, trying to fix the negative thoughts is almost like trying to stop them. It's just not going to work. It almost becomes an impossible task, and then you're going to judge yourself harshly for not being able to fix your negative thoughts. And then you're going to feel so out of control by trying to control these negative thoughts, stop them or fix them, and you're trying to control the uncontrollable. And you're trying to control a brain that's just raising the warning flag and saying, hey, Dan, be careful. Don't do this. Don't do that. Oh, that's going to hurt. Be careful. Whatever you do, don't do, right? Trying to control the uncontrollable makes you feel more out of control. That is a video I did another couple months ago, trying to control the uncontrollable. Look for it. So if you can't stop the negative thoughts, and fixing it is just exhausting and an exercise in futility, what the heck do we do? Well, you've probably heard me say it. You don't have to believe your own thinking. A lot of people will go, but Dan, it came from my brain. What do you mean don't believe it? It came from my brain, so it must be true, right? No. Think of it. It's hard to talk about thoughts without using the word think. I'm catching myself doing that a number of times. If the brain's job is to keep you safe and keep you alive, and it's creating these negative thoughts as warning signals, not believing those warnings is a good way to get the brain to realize those thoughts are not dangerous, right? Some people will be like, yeah, but Dan, what if those thoughts are real and those warnings are trying to protect me from something? Well, if those thoughts are on repeat and you're having those same thoughts hundreds, thousands of times a day, and they're warning you about stuff that's either already happening, because you've already got symptoms, or has already happened, meaning it's in the past, or may never happen, how seriously do we have to take our thoughts? Right? So the suggestion I have is, don't try to stop the thoughts. You don't have to fix the thoughts, but you don't have to take them seriously. You don't have to act upon these thoughts that are just saying, Dan, don't do this, don't do that, warning, 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 danger, danger, danger. If we've done the analysis, we understand how the system works, we know that TMS, perceived danger pain, is what's going on. Why do we need to listen to a brain that's just going, be careful, oh no? We can literally make a decision to go, I'm not thinking about that yet. That's not fixing. That's not stopping. It's just allowing these thoughts that come at the speed of light to go right by you, to go right past you. Because if you try to grab them, hold on to them, and fix them, you're holding on to them longer. You get more of them. If you try to stop them, they build up and you're going to get more of them, right? Like I said, don't think about a red car. Don't think about a red car. If you keep on trying to do that for 5 minutes, you're going to have, a warehouse full of red cars, right? So you don't have to stop them. You don't have to believe or fix them, but you don't have to believe them. Don't take them seriously. And I talk a lot about the mindset of indifference, the indifference about the symptoms, the indifference about some negative experiences that we've got going on, the medical conditions, the TMS, mind-body symptoms. We can become indifferent about those. We can literally say, you know what, I'm bored with that. I'm bored with trying to fix it. I'm bored with fighting it. I just don't care. And that was one of my turning points late in the game for me. Finally hitting the wall where I'm just going to live my life, and I don't care if the symptoms are there, it's fine. But I'm not going to make my world about fixing, getting rid of it, and running away from the symptoms. So the concept of indifference means to show little or no concern. So guess what you can do with your negative, fearful, catastrophic thoughts? Show little to no concern for those thoughts. You can become indifferent to your own thinking. That's not fixing thoughts. That's not stopping them. It's just saying, more negative thoughts. But I know it's just coming from a brain that's trying to do me good. And all those warnings are false alarms. Because I know what causes symptoms. I know that emotions are safe. I know that even thinking is not dangerous. It's not even dangerous when you take them serious, but it's going to delay recovery if you allow your thinking to keep you in fear and keep that perception of danger going. Don't do this, don't do that, that's dangerous. If I do this, it's going to really be a problem. Right? So, important stuff. Don't take your own thinking so seriously. Many of the things we worry about have already happened or will never happen. I think the numbers are something like between 90 to 95% of the things we worry about have already happened or will never happen. So we're spending a lot of time reacting emotionally to our own thinking for things that have already happened or may never happen. And we don't have to. We don't have to stop those thoughts. We don't have to fix them. But we really don't have to take them serious. You know, Mel Robbins does this in one of her books or podcasts or whatever. She goes, I don't need to think about that now. I'm not going to think about that now. I'm not going to think about that anymore. Because you've realized this thought, not beneficial, not true. It's not helping me in any way. I'm not going to think about that. That's not taking your own thinking so seriously. Show little to no concern for some of these thoughts. Now look, sometimes it's like, oh, I'm really feeling sick. I am in danger. Yeah, of course, use your intuition. Sometimes when the brain says, dude, go see a doctor, go to the hospital, we need to listen to it. I'm not saying disregard every thought you've got. But if you're on loop and repeating of a lot of fearful thoughts about your symptoms, about whatever's going on, and your intuition goes, oh, I'm just scaring myself, those are the thoughts that we can just say, I'm not thinking about that anymore. I'm done with that. I'm bored with those thoughts. So does this stuff make sense? Comment below. Does it make sense that stopping thinking is impossible? We all have a voice inside of our head. And I've joked in the past that, you know, for many of us, we got an asshole roommate living in our head. They're not even paying us rent. Evict them. I'm not listening to you anymore. You can blah, 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 blah all day long if you want, but I'm not paying attention to you. It's like the friend of yours who never leaves the party. They're sitting there having fun. Hey, what else you got to eat or drink or whatever? You're already cleaning up the house and everybody's left. Best way to get that last person to leave the party is to not engage with them. Because if you sit there talking to them, they're never leaving. But if you choose not to engage with those thoughts by saying, don't have to take them seriously, that person will eventually realize nobody's talking to me, nobody's paying any attention, everybody else left, so maybe I need to leave. These thoughts can be similar to that, right? There used to be an old Saturday Night Live skit, I think John Belushi, the guest that would never leave, I bet if you look it up on YouTube, you'll probably find it. So anyway, how to respond to thinking, how to respond to your thoughts. Don't try to stop them. It's futile. Don't try to fix them. It's exhausting. But don't take them all so seriously. You don't have to believe them, listen to them, act on them. Just don't take them seriously. And here's what happens. When you stop taking those thoughts seriously and getting an emotional charge behind the thoughts, you know what the brain learns? You're showing no interest, which means you're not clicking on them, which says you're not interested in those thoughts. You must be okay. And you'll notice over time you will have fewer and fewer and fewer of those thoughts. You will have fewer of those thoughts. And I want to thank one of my group members today because they were saying, you know, I used to have chemical sensitivities and I had to get into a taxi cab. And in the past, I would sweat about it and worry about it. Oh, no, it's going to smell. It's going to be horrible. I don't want to get into the cab, but I need a cab to get to wherever I'm going to. That was their previous thinking. And what they realized is as they felt safer and safer and safer with this mind-body work and creating messages of safety, they were able to get into a taxi cab recently, and those negative thoughts and fearful thoughts didn't even happen. And they got in the cab and they realized, oh, I wasn't even worried about this. So trust me, the less you pay attention to negative thoughts, the less of them you're going to have over time. So it's a useful thing to learn how to do. Don't take your own thinking so seriously. Show little to no concern about your negative thoughts, and you will actually end up with fewer of those perceived negative thoughts. So I'm going to wrap this one up. This video is going long. But I really wanted to touch on this because emotions yesterday, thoughts today, these are things that really are the crux of this mind-body work, emotions and thinking. So if we can kind of figure out the most optimal way to respond to our emotions and our thoughts, you're going to be in a much better place. Your brain's going to feel safer, allowing you to feel emotions, yesterday's video, and not taking your own thinking so seriously. So, I love you all. Hope this was beneficial. And I guess we'll see you tomorrow, as usual. Take care, everybody. Love you.